Are we going live? We are live. All right. So, let me know if you can hear me all right. I had to, still getting used to the new YouTube studio. If I do this, the Juices Loose podcast, I can just reuse all the settings. I had to create a new one for this. So, if you're watching, in the chat, if you let me know, everything look all right, sound all right. And we are going to be talking about a few things. I'm just going to run down while I wait, see if we get any more people jump in. I want to cover Projekt Red, making the industry look bad. I want to talk about the Nvidia graphics cards announcements and what that could mean. And also why I don't do Juice Opinions on Fridays, and I haven't really done one. I intend to, and then most Friday nights I want to, but Rocket League has a new season that they started 5 weeks ago, where every Thursday or Friday there is a 16-team tournament called the Grid. What's up, MDZ? What's up, Clocked It? It's called the Grid. You got 16 teams. You lose once, you go down to the lower bracket. If you lose again, you're out. And then it just goes down, and so I've been watching that on Friday nights. Of course, the teams I've been rooting for, they don't make it past the top 8, the last 8 or top 8, whatever. So I haven't really been watching the whole thing, but otherwise I'd have done this yesterday. And also, I just been really watching a lot of TV shows. The Boys season 2 just started. Raised by Wolves on HBO Max. I just started watching that. Two episodes in. That's freaking amazing. I'm watching Selena plus Chef on HBO Max. It's Selena Gomez learning how to cook with video conference, like professional chefs. And that's actually really, really entertaining. Not even a big Selena Gomez fan. I don't know. Never really watched any of her content or anything before, but I'm finding that show to be quite entertaining. I like to cook, and it's good to see real chefs giving real advice to somebody who's learning. So also, let's see, I finished the Umbrella Academy, 2 seasons of that. What's up, Visor? What's up, Stefan? Just been watching a lot of TV shows, and then when I'm not watching TV shows, I'm listening to Ms. T's long ass live streams. And I've started watching a couple reactors, 2 YouTube channels, women who react to. One's watching Game of Thrones. Her name is Your Weirdo Friend Cass. It's just really interesting watching somebody watch Game of Thrones for the first time, knowing I know what happens and what's coming, and hearing her make all these predictions and all these hopes that are going to get squashed. But and the other person is Natalie Gold. She's watches start off with Star Wars. Her newest video is her reacting to The Fifth Element for the first time, and she definitely didn't get it the first time. Hopefully she watches it again. But I've just been really hooked on that kind of stuff. And then obviously I play Rocket League. I played the most in the last month, probably, than I played probably usually in 3-4 months. I mean, basically all year. This past month, maybe 5 weeks, I've played more than I had played pretty much the entire year. I just really got back into it. I started Control, the DLC, the AWE expansion, and I got about an hour into that, and hooked up my GameCube today, and I was playing a little of that. The main reason I did, because I was posting games on Marketplace to sell. So let me bring up OBS so I can see my feed. So this is the first game I posted. Obviously it's got green on it, so it's see-through. I'll tell you about that in a second. This is the second game I posted. $100 for that one, 60 for Sunshine. I'm hoping. Posted this for 60 and posted this for 65. they're all in like new condition, mint condition, I would say. The manuals are untouched. The Wind Waker manual, they're all complete in box. No blemishes, really. Just trying to, just get some money to put towards either a new graphics card or one of the new consoles, maybe. And I hook up my GameCube. I do this about every five years or so. And all the games are inverted controls and for the camera and stuff, and I can't play them. And then Metal Gear Solid, that's the most valuable one, going for $125 on eBay. And I'm trying to get 100 using Marketplace so I can avoid eBay. But I mean, Metal Gear Solid is just, I'm sorry, I know Clock is watching. I don't play these games enough, so long stretches go, and I get it. They were good back when that's the best thing we knew. We didn't know about, games like Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey or 3D World. Sunshine I never absolutely loved, but I liked it. I got 115 stars, but it's just not that good of a game playing it again. Mostly because every time I go to turn the camera, it turns the wrong way. But I don't really like much about that game other than the music. The main music's really good. Looks terrible, and I only have component video cables. And I'm just like, I don't need these. I mean, Wind Waker HD I have. There's no reason to keep Wind Waker. Melee I played for about 30 minutes. It's absolute trash. I mean, it's absolute trash. You can't even tell when you do a smash attack. There's just no indication you just landed a smash attack. And yeah, it's basically plays very similar. I was struggling because Marth was nothing like Marth's neutral B and stuff is very different. But I just don't like how it plays. I don't like how it feels. I don't like the GameCube controller for it. I'm hitting A to jump constantly because just the button layout's just so retarded compared to what I'm used to. And Twin Snakes, I mean, like I said, back in the day, like that fixed camera where you can't see shit coming, it makes, yeah, you can go to first person. I wasn't really utilizing the trank gun or anything. I was trying to play it more like the PlayStation original. And you get this 3-punch kick combo for Snake, and then shooting. You can shoot, and it's so basic. Your moveset, you can't just like strangle somebody or knock them out. Obviously, I just said I didn't use the trank gun. I wasn't really getting that in depth into it, and it's just not that fun to play that style of game anymore. To me, we've just come so far in so many ways. Like I've always said, The Last of Us is my favorite stealth game, and The Last of Us Part 2 is now my new favorite stealth game. And yeah, it's like T brings up, yeah, you got the sense thing where you can see these enemies, but you don't have to use it. If you don't use it, it makes difficulty quite a bit harder, and it just makes it more intense. But I just like sneaking around, taking people out quietly, being able to see. Like, I hate not being able to see. It's just so... But anyway, so I got these games for sale. Honestly, ever since I sold my component video cables for the GameCube, I really don't even need it. Like, it's never going to be hooked up to be played seriously, other than the nostalgia, the collector in me. It's a day one GameCube. I have 3 controllers. I have about 20 games. Like, I really don't need them other than just for what's sentimental value, really. I'm never going to play these games. I'm never going to play Metroid Prime 1 or 2 on the GameCube ever again. If I play them, it's going to be through the Wii U with the Metroid Prime collection. I'll have to hook up a sensor bar, and get a Wii Remote and nunchuck out, but I'm just never going to play these games. I'm never going to play Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube ever again. Or the remake, If I wanted to play them again, I'd just get it on any other device. PC, PS4, Switch, it doesn't matter. It's just... I know it sucks to say that, But really, I don't have that attachment to home consoles and like some people do. I'm not saying it's like I definitely feel like I'm the weird one with in this type of, the way I feel versus a lot of other people, but playing on the GameCube with the GameCube controller absolutely holds no value to me. Playing on the N64 with the N64 controller holds no value to me. I'd rather play Mario 64 on a Switch Pro controller, on an Xbox One controller, on a PS4 controller. Like, that's just how I am. And I know that's, more people I feel are more like T and Clocked It, where you'd rather play it on the original hardware with the original controller, but that's not me. I mean, I just don't care about that stuff. I just don't want to have to rebuy these games every time, with a new system. That's why I can't fully support everything that's going on. But getting back to Sunshine, the reason I'm posted it, because if I can get close to 60, let's say I get 55, maybe even $50, I'm never going to play it again. But if somebody will give me that, then even though it's going to be supporting something I have an issue with, buying old games, I would buy the 3D All-Star Collection for what would be $63. So I'd be getting an improved version of Sunshine, which I may or may not want to play. I'll probably check it out. Hopefully I'll have to wait till reviews and stuff. Hopefully they've changed the camera controls and added inverted. I can play Mario 64 again. I haven't played that game in 20-something years. It's an amazing game. I would love to play through that game again. And then have Galaxy in HD. I mean, basically, depending on what I could get for Sunshine, let's say, worst case scenario, $50. So for $13, I get Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. Galaxy in HD is really the only one that I would call in HD. For $13 and giving up my copy of Sunshine. It's basically like trading Sunshine for a slightly better version, getting Mario 64 and Galaxy HD for $13. That's the only way that I'll get that collection. The other would be, I have it pre-ordered. I will, I can return it. Best Buy Elite member, I can return it. I forget, what is it, 30 days or whatever. I might just leave it sealed, see what kind of prices, if there's any shortages or anything. Maybe there's a price spike. Maybe I could make a little money off it or something. I don't know. At the very least, I could get my money back, I'm pretty sure, if I just leave it sealed. But we'll get into the whole 35th anniversary in a minute. But anyway, that's kind of my plan. If I don't sell Sunshine, then I'm not going to buy the collection. And like, someone was saying, you can just emulate. But I'll get into my thoughts on what the actual content is, what the upgrades, and all that when I talk about the anniversary. So let's get into CD Projekt Red, making the industry just look bad. I mean, 505 Games, I tweeted them a picture. It was funny. Also, I have a poll going on. I will link. Let me find it here. It's always so confusing on Twitter got to go to your profile. It's hard to find your own damn tweets sometimes. So Crash going, Insane Trilogy, back to PS1 versions, the remastered spoiled you. Yeah, like Wind Waker HD makes the Wind Waker absolutely obsolete. And I Clocked It made a video about, I forget what the term was for remakes, remasters, or sequels diminishing. Was it diminishing the original game? Wind Waker HD makes I'm surprised the Wind Waker even goes for $50 on eBay. Like, to me, it makes it worth nothing. There's no reason to play the Wind Waker on the GameCube. There's absolutely no reason. The Wii U version is better in every single way, times 10. It's like, it's just so superior that Now, it doesn't take away your joy of playing it back in 2003, and you thought, you loved every second of it. It doesn't take that away from. But, doing the fast sale, I played today, just doing the Ballad of the Winds or whatever, Gale, whatever it's called. You want to talk about, we make fun of quick time events and shit. You want to talk about absolutely no skill required. Just hold the up on the left stick or neutral for the 3 when it's just 3 notes. And then just hold. There's no timing involved. Just hold up. It makes the chime. Hold left. Comes back. And then hold right. It's the most simplistic, pointless, might as well be a fucking quick time event. Might as well be a cutscene. There's really, the gameplay, it's just so pointless. You have to do it every single time. And then there's the longer ones. It's just absolutely stupid. It's like, why did I didn't think that was great. Honestly, I was annoyed with that back in the day. But I lived with it. But now just hitting the fast sale and just turning in the wind, it doesn't make sense in the game. But neither did having to just do the simplistic thing every time. It worked better in Ocarina of Time. I felt like the music, the system of how you did the music was a better system. But anyway, got a little bit off there. CG Projekt Red. I'm not a Witcher fan. I played The Witcher 3 for about an hour or 2 hours. I want to say on Xbox Game Pass, and I wasn't blown away. But for those that don't know, I know some people. What's up, Rakia? Lucius. Who else is here? I said everybody else's. I didn't love The Witcher 3. I thought especially on the Xbox One S. It doesn't look very good to me. It's a lot of slow, a lot of talking, a lot of the side quests. I wasn't gripped by it. But anyway, a lot of people love it. Some people that say it's one of the best games of this past generation, or this, generation about to end, and that's fine. They just announced that they are developing themselves, not hiring a porting studio. That's check box number 1 that give in their favor versus other developers. So they took their game, they're working on it themselves. They're not fucking giving it to externally. Read that wrong. Saber Studios, who worked on the Switch version. So yeah, they lose that check. I don't know why they're having someone port it, probably because they're working on Cyberpunk. So yeah, I misread that earlier. It says right here, externally. So Saber's working on it. So, okay, take that checkbox away. So they're like everybody else there. So they're working on PS5 and Series X versions, which basically, I don't know if it's going to be, if you buy the Series X version in 2021, if it'll work on your Xbox One X. I don't know if it's that, what do they call that? Cross-play or whatever. Anyway, so project is developed outside with our proven partner, has delivered the 4K version of The Witcher 3 and The Witcher 3 for Switch, so they already know our technology very well. It makes sense. They've already worked with The Witcher. They're asked to prepare a next-gen port, and I said during my presentation we expect a full next-gen experience with great next-gen features, but it doesn't interfere with next-gen development of Cyberpunk. So that's why they had it do it externally, because they're working on Cyberpunk, obviously. Which I can't remember if Cyberpunk's been delayed or not. So they're going to basically release, PS5 box and a Series X box. But what they're going to do for people who currently own The Witcher 3 is they're going to add a patch. It's going to add visual quality, a few extra features, and of course we're not going to charge people for a patch. So they're going to add the next gen version for free for PC, PS5, and Series X to anybody that already has The Witcher 3. So basically, free upgrade. You're getting if you got The Witcher 3 on your PS4, on your Xbox One, well, if you got Game Pass, I think it's still on there. If you buy a PS5 or a Series X, you're like, you know what? I never finished The Witcher, or I want to start a second playthrough. You're going to get the same version as anybody who buys the PS5 and Series X versions. And it's like, why is this the exception and not the rule? It says it sold 30 million copies, though. The Acclaim RPG sold its 5th birthday in May and has sold... Is that of Witcher 3 or just all their games together? 30 million total? Damn. Just for The Witcher 3? I didn't not know it was anywhere near that. So, basically, it was a big hit. They made a lot of money. But instead of Grand Theft Auto 5 bullshit, instead of the Control bullshit, 505 games, you don't have to rebuy the game if you already have it. If you buy a next-gen console, once the game is done with the next-gen features, you get them in a patch. Through backwards compatibility, you put your PS4 disc, whatever. There's people that own the Witcher 3 base version, no DLC. There's people who bought the Witcher 3 base version, probably bought one of the DLCs. There's people who bought all the DLCs separately. There's people who bought the complete edition. Yet somehow they don't have any problems leaving somebody behind, which is what 505 Games said about Control. Leaving somebody behind with the next-gen upgrades. GTA 5, what did I say? The game's made billions of dollars, and they have not announced free upgrades. They announced GTA 5 PS5 version coming in 2021. Control, you have to buy the Ultimate Edition that just came out. You don't want to leave anybody behind. It makes no fucking sense. Nintendo, they can't even just bring a base game over, let alone free upgrades. I don't even care. I bought 3D World digitally. Just let me play the base 3D World. I don't need to Bowser's Fury and anything for free. Let me play 3D World on my Switch. I have it digitally on the Wii U. I gotta pay $60 to play 3D World again on the Switch. I had to pay $60 to play Tropical Freeze on my Switch. I have it digitally on my Wii U. This is ridiculous, and we don't have the full picture yet. We don't know what Sony's doing with their big PS4 games like God of War, The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima. They haven't announced what their plan is. Let's see. Although the patch might be an issue with that, so maybe it'll be the old engine. Let's see. What did I miss, Rock? Yeah. So Saber Interactive, I worked with CD Projekt Red for many, many years. It makes sense because Saber ported the Switch, or Witcher 3, to the Cyberpunk engine in order to get it to run on the Switch. So the engine will probably be what they use for the release. I mean, it's not going to be... Maybe it's just a brand new download. Maybe it's just a patch. I don't know. PSN games on PS3 and it's not transferred. Yeah, your save files aren't transferred from PS3 to PS4. Xbox really is the only one doing everything when it comes to that stuff. Your save files from your 360 transfer over to your Xbox One. They're going to transfer over to your Series X. If I put in Gears of War, let's say 2 or 3, maybe 1, 2, or 3, on my Xbox One right now, you got to download, the backwards compatible version, and then my save files are going to be there. They're the only ones doing that. That in itself should be hailed. I know it sucks that they don't have must-have games in the near future for the Series X, which it really sucks because they got everything else seems to be set up, right. But I hope CD Projekt Red is what they're doing forces other companies to follow suit. So Call of Duty with their bullshit, that game's across, coming out pretty much day and date, PS4 and PS5. If you buy $70, you get both versions. If you pay $60, you only get the PS4 version. It's just stupid. Yeah, well, Sony brought over some of the digital games, like Journey, like you said, From PS3, yeah, your save files didn't transfer over. I don't know why not, because I'm using the same login I used for the PS3, but I haven't played a game like Journey. I didn't play it on the PS3 and then play it on the PS4, but I'm pretty sure there's no save file transfers. But anyway, I just wish there was less unknowns. I know it's a difficult year for everybody, but at the same time, when like I said all this time about the Wii U ports to Switch, as soon as Sony released, what was it, Shadow of the Colossus remake for $40, the God of War 3, I don't know what they called that on PS4, was like, I don't know if it was 40 or 20. It wasn't full price. The Nathan Drake collection gave you 3 games that were individually tweaked and reworked for the PS4 controller, and you got 60 frame per second option added to like The Last of Us. That one was 50 when it came out, but it came with the DLC. And we all know Sony's games drop in price quickly. But either way, once they did that, once Activision gave us the Crash Insane trilogy, 3 full remakes for $40, 3 full remakes of Spyro for $40, a remake of the Crash Team Racing for $40, it made everything, it just suddenly made what Nintendo was doing that much worse. I think I still would have been we were still kind of iffy about it 2017 when we got a few of them. But it's just, once you see somebody else do something that's pro-consumer, not greedy, given at this price, then it's hard to accept somebody not doing that. And that's a good transition into Nvidia and their announcement of their upcoming 30 series GPUs, which absolutely turns the GPU market on its head. Now, if you don't know, you don't follow that kind of stuff, they announced 3 new graphics cards: the 3070, the 3080, and the 3090. But the big one, it's the last one to come out, is the 3070, $499, and it outperforms, or it's equal to or outperforms their current high-end card, which is $1,200. So you have, right now, you go out and buy a RTX 2080 Ti, you're going to pay $1,200 to $1,300. In October, you're going to get better ray tracing performance and equal performance almost everywhere else. Less RAM for $500, for, not a third, but significantly less. Right now, there are $400 cards that maybe give you 1440p, 60 frames per second with high settings, no ray tracing. For $100 more, you're going to get full ray tracing, 4K, full 4K support, 60 plus frames with ray tracing for $500. They basically made every graphics card above $500, that's out right now, obsolete, and every graphics card within $200 below it, like, obsolete, and you'd be like, well, it's $200 cheaper. But for $200 less, you're getting like 10%. I'm just throwing a number out, 10-15% of the performance. You'd be stupid to buy anything but this RTX 3070 until AMD comes out and announces their plans. So let me put this in the gaming perspective for console owners, for people that don't follow the PC market. This RTX 3070 for $500. So this would be like Nintendo putting out a Switch Pro that has PS4 Pro level, visuals, 4 teraflops of power for $200. That's about the comparison of what this right here does. This would be like the Xbox Series X coming out for $350. Doubles the Xbox One X, but it's significantly cheaper. Actually, it'd probably be closer to $300. Series X comes out, Microsoft's like, yeah, it's going to be $299. That's what this is. That's the equivalent to this. Yeah, the Switch Pro's coming out. It's going to be $150. That's what we're talking about here. Yeah, $500. It's a lot of money to people. But just talking price per performance, this is the biggest game changer. Nvidia has really never gone this route. They've never just went full on with the price. You know, they've always kind of priced their stuff pretty high. And then for $200 more, you get a big jump, and then the monster that's $1,500. That's more production. Gamers will buy it, but it's not generally intended for that. So I see the Insane Game Freaks here, or he was. You know, his 2060 he bought. That was last year, wasn't it? Has it been a year? Maybe it was earlier this year. I can't remember. For $400, has 6 gigs of RAM. Can do like minor ray tracing at medium settings. You know, you might hit 30 frames per second at 1080p, you know. And for $100 more, you're getting full 4K with ray tracing above 60, you know, depending on the game. Like, it sucks for people who just recently bought a graphics card. There, you know, you can't get away from that. Somebody might have just bought a 2080 Ti for $12.99 and had it a month. Now that card is worth $500-$600. Sorry. Even if it's in excellent condition, barely used. That's the only, it was a year ago. So there's no way we're going to wait a year, but just to put it in comparison, what they've done here is they took what was essentially their mid-tier card, even though this has, you know, the 2070 was a pretty good card, but, you know, for $100 above what was like their middle of the road card that's decent performance but not really a 4K 60 kind of card. And this just absolutely trumps, like, just destroys it. And the other effect of this is people who were looking at the Series X and PS5 as their investment for the year, you know, to get ray tracing or get, you know, a next gen visual leap for games. If the Series X is $500, yeah, if you have to build a PC from scratch, you're spending $1,600 probably right now, even with this at its price. But for someone like me, who all I need right now is a graphics card, do I spend $500 and get this beast and then still play all the Xbox games, get my flight simulator at, you know, 4K with max settings over 60 frames per second? Or do I buy a Series X and, you know, get, which I'm assuming is going to be $500, and get probably what would be medium to high settings for flight simulator and some of these games? You know, it's like, I didn't even think, like I said last week, it'd have to be such a good price. And they did. And I wasn't even thinking it was going to be like actually going to happen. And yeah, I don't need, you know, PCI 4s isn't going to be a big deal for a couple years. By the time that's like really utilized, I'll be getting a new CPU, motherboard, and RAM by that, you know, in a couple years. So, but just games like right now, you know, Digital Foundry tested the 3080 versus the 2080 with the current motherboards and stuff, and it was like 200% improvement in Doom Eternal with like everything maxed out, like for less, you know, for I think the 2080's like $800 it's been, $700 to $800. So, but this is the start, man. This is a big deal. This is going to change. And whatever AMD's got up planned, I feel bad for them because I don't think there's any way they're going to be able to compete with this. So it's going to affect the gamers, but it's also going to affect Xbox Series X and PS5. They were looking like they were going to be ahead or equal to, you know, the best graphics cards out there, you know, or very comparable, but now they're just left so far behind. So yeah, I mean, need to see more. I think what you're going to see when you see more is you're going to see even more of a benefit to these new cards as new drivers and games can maybe even patch stuff in to take advantage. This is just like, these are just games, just brute force getting the new graphics card and what they can do. So I'm looking at potentially getting the 3070. Financial situation's a little tight for me this end of the year because I've got my hours cut for the foreseeable future. So that's kind of why I'm looking to sell these GameCube games. See if I can't offset the cost of either a graphics card or a new console. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for that. And let's get into the 35th anniversary of Mario, which came out of nowhere. It was long rumored, leaked, if you will. I just wonder what kind of announcement or what kind of impact this would have had if this wasn't leaked forever ago. You know, if this was just absolutely out of the blue surprise, I wonder how much better it would have been for me. So I got it muted. So I'm just kind of let it play. I didn't do a live reaction because who cares? It's a bunch of old games. I'm not going to react to old games. There was a couple cool things. Like, to me, this is one of those, I have no interest. I'm not going to buy it, but I think this is a cool little retro thing to put out, limited edition for those that like that kind of stuff. I have no problem with the Game & Watch coming out. You know, it's like, it's got a nice screen, and they didn't give a price. Limited production. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be $60, but I kind of feel like this is Nintendo's gonna be like their moneymaker for the holidays. I don't think they have a holiday game. Get out of here, Rel. You got this. You know damn well you have this game. You could play this. You have over 100 hours in this game. You do not need this on Switch. What benefit other than the new content? You have so many. I mean, I bet you have 200 hours in this game on the Wii U. You do not need a Switch version to play it again. They did speed up the running. Movement speed's been increased. Game Explained showed that. I mean, some people are like, oh my god, it looks so good. They improved texture. No, this is the exact same game. It's in 1080p. This is how good 3D World looked. And people just didn't, whatever reason, people wanted to hate on it. It's not the real 3D Mario game. I'm waiting till the real 3D Mario game, and it's like this was it. This is in my opinion, this is the best 3D Mario game. This game has I have almost no negatives to say about it. It's just that good. Music's amazing. Visuals are amazing. Boss fights are fun. Music in the boss fights is phenomenal. Level design, challenge, post beating Bowser content. I mean, I think it's unrivaled in almost every category. Yeah, 3D World's definitely better than Odyssey. So what is this? Almost looks like a big, I don't know. This kind of, to me, this looks like a Champions Road type level. Like it's a one-off massive level. I hope it isn't, but that's my theory. I'm just going to pause it right here so I can, anybody wants to say I'm wrong. I think this is a new Champions Road one-off super long level. That's my current theory. I don't see this a real 3D Mario game, not in the vein of others. This is a bigger version of 3D. What do you mean it's not a real it's a 3D game engine. It's a 3D Mario game. It's the main team made this game. I don't understand this. having separate categories. Oh, it's just an extension of 3D Land. 3D Land's a 3D Mario game. They chose to have the camera fixed and for the level, the way the levels were designed because it's a 4-player game. You can't have a 4-player game, 4 players on screen at the same time with cameras you can move around. It was their choice to have it a multiplayer game. That's why your camera's locked. There's no exploration. So all those hours I spent looking for yellow or getting the green stars and finding the stamps what do you mean by exploration? A hub world? Because other than the hub world in 64, Sunshine, and I think Galaxy, the first Galaxy had exploration in the hub worlds, but the levels themselves, once you went through a gate in Galaxy, you couldn't go back. Like, same with the boxes in 3D World. It's literally just the camera perspective is the only difference. There's a timer, so I guess you might not prefer to have a timer in a game. I guess that's for a lot of people, that seems to be the sticking point. You don't have just free, but to me that adds to the pressure, that adds to the challenge. One of my biggest complaints about Odyssey, is everybody knows who's been following my channel, and yeah, ASAP, it is crazy how people still deny that this is a 3D Mario game. I don't understand it. But Odyssey was just like, oh, I'm walking around this desert here. Oh, there's something in the ground sparkling. I ground pound. Oh, there's a moon. It's like, oh, get to the top of this. Oh, it's a moon. Oh, move this, throw your cappy on this cactus, move it. Oh, there's a moon. Like, absolutely no skill involved in that. Yeah, you're exploring, quote unquote exploring, but how many times have I been through those damn, what were they called in Odyssey? Not galaxies. Can't think of the word they use in the game, but in each of the areas and the levels, I would rather have a path with obstacles I have to avoid and get to the end and survive than have a huge environment to find all these random moons in. That's me personally. I'm just giving you my personal thoughts on it. Yeah, New Donk City was fun to get on the rooftops and mess around in the world, but when it comes down to it, my main objective was finding moons, just because I like to try to 100% 3D Mario games, and it's like you take the moons out, and it's how long would Mario Odyssey be fun if it was just like exploring, like every nook and cranny of New Donk City and in all these worlds. Like, you have to have some incentive. So every single level in 3D World is different. You got to revisit the same levels 10 different times in Odyssey. Yeah, I mean, somebody tell me what they're called. They're not worlds. They're not galaxies. What did they call them in Odyssey? Like, it's escaping my mind right now. The different regions. And I think a lot of those moons were just added while they were waiting. The game was done. I wouldn't be surprised if it was done in 2016. They went from, was it 400 moons was the max to 900? They added all those while they're waiting. Kingdoms. Thank you. Thank you, Furl. I would say the 2D sections were amazing in Odyssey. Loved those. Because they actually, there was actually some challenge there. And there was probably under 20, just like legit. I don't know if it's under 20, but once you beat the game and you got to the metal, was it like a square warp pipe? And then there was some challenge stuff in there, and there's some time things you had to do. There was some challenging sections. And in Odyssey, and the ones that were there that were challenging, like, oh my god, I wish there was more of this. That's how I felt. But the real question is, Bowser's Fury worth you getting the game again? Not if it's what I'm speculating is, like a giant super challenging extension of Champions Road. And now, if it's another new world with a dozen new levels, that would be cool. But also, let me back it up. Is it a Odyssey-like situation where this is just an open world, like a kingdom, where you can just explore this however you want? But if you look, you got rotating platforms. It's probably going to be spikes pop out. Let's see if we see any spikes. See, there's something just came out of there. I think you're going to jump to cling on this, wait for it to flip around, and jump off. So it's going to be very challenging. What's up? Was that Antrite 08? And we got Nintendo Gamer, TS Nintendo Gamer. So I'm just trying to figure out what this is. So now you have rotating, so you have to wait. I don't know if one side is going to be hurt you, one side you have to have the cat suit the whole time. So you got to rotate, jump, so it's going to take timing, patience. You have these like gates here, so that's why it could possibly be an open area where you start out. You got to complete. Let's say you got to go this path, get something, whatever, an item. Go this path, the other path, and then once you get them all, this is going to open up, and then it's going to be like a final level. But what do we see? That looks like a keyed box there. I don't know if GameXplain did any kind of breakdown, but this is definitely a massive area, and I don't know, like I said, if it's going to be, you're just going to be in this world and you just, free roam, or if it's going to be like one long level. It's going to be curious. Now that I'm looking at it a little closer, I might take away the thought that it's just one big level where you can't die and you can't, you got to start it over every time. But if the cinematic camera is really throwing us off, it could really just be a Champions Road situation. Online multiplayer for the game. I said this back when it came out. People complained. What's the best case scenario for online multiplayer in a 3D Mario game? Just my thought back in 2013 was you need online multiplayer specific levels where it's not like I'm on world 4 and let's say clocked it. He's, because he has more games he's playing right now and kids and stuff. Let's say he's only on world 2 and that we both never played 3D World before. Let's just say a 3D Mario game with multiplayer. So does he jump into mine and now play World 4 stuff when he's on World 2 and he's like experiencing levels that he hasn't got to play himself yet in a multiplayer situation? Or do I play World 2 stuff and replay levels I'd already played and not make any progress in my save file? Like, that's always been the biggest question I've always asked. Like, why do you want online multiplayer in a 3D Mario game? Like, how is that going to work? To me, you need special online specific levels, challenge levels, and otherwise it's like, especially you're talking 4 people. So let's say Rel, Clocked It, me, and Furl, because he's in the chat here. We all want to play together. I'm on World 4, Clocked It's on World 2, Rel's on World 8, Farrell's on World 1. What levels do we play? That's the question I have, and we've never gotten an answer. So we'll have to see how they handle it. Because to me, that's just never been ideal. It's different than like Pikmin 3, which has a competitive, I don't know if there's co-op, but I know it's a competitive mode with bingo and the challenge mode that's straight competitive. Just put that online. I go against Clocked It for the bingo battle. Boom, there's no issue there. That should have had online. 3D World, if it's just the main game, you can have people play online on random levels, and whose progress does it go towards? So we need those questions answered before I can truly say. All right, let me look at the chat here. It's clearly related to Bowser. The bell must be how Bowser turned into a tiger. So we'll talk about Bowser's Fury. Mario Kart kind of tripped me out the whole time I was going. What am I looking? Oh, okay. We'll get to that in a second. The box art is already out there for 3D World. I'm not sure. You know what this looks like, Juice? An area from Odyssey, which means you'll love it. Like, I don't think it looks like an Odyssey, quite like an Odyssey level, but I get what you mean. Mario Maker says hi. Mario Maker 2 says hi. Yeah, with that 3D World 2D stuff. So Farrell says he hasn't bought any ports other than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe because my friends were still playing it. I'm kind of tempted to buy 3D World for the online multiplayer, the new content, if the new content is long enough, but probably not. I never thought 3D World needed online multiplayer. It's the thing I don't get when everybody needs some kind of online. Yeah, I said that back in 2013. I got a little bit of call the Nintendo Defender back then because some of the biggers like Shokyo and some of the bigger names were saying, "Oh, it's got to have online multiplayer." And I've always asked, like, how? We can expect it to be a peer-to-peer system. The progression should be based on the host. But still, like, are you going to want to play World 4 stuff when you're not there yourself on somebody else's? So they make their progress and you're not getting any progress until you replay the levels. I just don't get it. Sorry, I'm replying to somebody about my GameCube games for sale. He's asking if I want to sell my GameCube itself and not just games. Probably not. Depends on what someone offered me, I guess. All right, cleared all that. All right. So let's see. But I was saying, like, would you really want to play somebody's later levels for their progress and then have to play them again, like, for your progress? I just don't know. We'll have to see what the online stuff. Online has become a basic for almost every game. It's kind of becoming overbloated and kind of unnecessary at this point for a single player. Yeah, I mean, I get it. The couch co-op's in there. You're all on the same screen. You know. All right, I'll reply to him later. Well, right now. Sorry. Making deals here. Online multiplayer is needed more ever than co-op. But I'm asking you, how is it going to work? I've just named scenarios where it's like, it's just not simple unless they add online specific levels. Yeah, you think it'll be hyped until you're playing with randoms who want to mess around. They don't want to go to the objective. They want to ruin your game. So I'm just thinking of people. Let's say none of us played 3D World and you're playing it for the first time. That's where I'm like, how does this online work? You know, and if you don't have 3 friends and you play with one friend, can you play with randoms? Like, I don't see it until they detail it. I have no hope for it actually being interesting. And then this is the last thing before I move on to the other stuff. February 21st. So I made a joke to OJ as he was defending all, Pikmin 3, and I'm like, well, what if the big holiday title is Super Mario 3D World Deluxe? And he never acknowledged the question because I don't think he wanted to answer it. He was one of the ones saying it's not the true 3D Mario game. He was all burnt out on platformers and stuff. I'm surprised that this is a February game. And the biggest thing I'm surprised by is because I thought, like I think we said last week, I was kind of hoping Breath of the Wild 2 or a big game would be coming on March 3rd, 2021 for like the anniversary of the Switch. And I guess it could still happen, but you're releasing 3D World in February, and if you look at the past with their ports, they don't put a port out and then put a brand new game out the next month. It's usually at least a month gap. So Tokyo Mirage Sessions, I think, came out in January, and then Animal Crossing in March. You had Xenoblade in May, and then you had Paper Mario in August, and then you're getting Pikmin 3 in October, but then they threw in the 3D collection in September. But so to me, this says don't expect a new Switch game until at least the end of April, probably May or June, though. That's what this is telling me. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But we're just getting into ports into 2021, so we know we got more ports coming. At least one more port into 2021. So it's like, I thought this was a 2020 thing. Get some ports out because they don't have anything else. But now we're bleeding into 2021. So then we got, this is probably the coolest announcement, I think. It's like the Tetris 100. It's like a battle royale with Mario. And it's part of the Nintendo Switch Online. To me, this is the coolest thing. I can't wait to watch the Dragon Feeny, who's like a master at playing Mario Maker levels. Can't wait to see her wreck everybody at this. This is a cool little thing. This is something that celebrates 35 years of Super Mario Brothers. Like, to me, and it comes out October 1st, but it's only playable till March. It's kind of weird, but still, this is a celebration of Mario. Like, this is how you celebrate Mario. The Game & Watch is a nice little collectible to celebrate. To me, this is probably trying to think of the comparison. One of the most impractical, to most people, this is going to be absolutely impractical. In my house, absolutely impractical. I don't have anywhere near the space of with a smooth floor to set this up. So if you have a house filled with carpet, you have a small house with a lot of narrow hallways, you don't have an open area, you can't buy this. Like, yeah, they look pretty small, but you're going to play this in a bedroom? Like, you're going to, move your bed around? Like, you have to have just the most ideal setup, like a living room like this. You know, they show the going over the rug there, but I'd be curious to see, and then they set up all this stuff. Yeah, this would be fun if you have the setup for it. Basically what I'm saying. If you have a place for all this, I don't know if you have to set up all these cups and all that, if that's just, trying to make the track easier for people. It's a cool concept. It's cool technology, but it's like, what percentage of people actually can take advantage of this? Like, and this comes out in October. So cool if you got the room for it, depending on the price too. I mean, this thing has a camera on it, and it's a remote control. I mean, this thing could be $80. It could be $100 a piece. It could be $60 for one, and you get two of them for, if you got kids and stuff, it's going to be expensive. And it's like, is it working through Wi-Fi? Is it working through Bluetooth? I mean, it's really cool tech, but how is the Switch getting? Is it a Wi-Fi connection? Is there lag? Like, it's a live camera of your home, and it's like AR stuff. You can play it outside. How? What if it works? What if it connects Wi-Fi through your internet connection, through a home network? What if it's possible that the cars have their own Wi-Fi, which you see an icon here. It's very possible that the cars themselves put out the Wi-Fi, and you don't need your home network for it to work. But just look at the doorbell. Look at all the home security. It has to be connected to your home network for it to work. So if it just connects to your switch and the car itself has a transmitter and it uses a Wi-Fi signal, then yes, you could take this other places. You could take it outside. Good luck, on a sunny day, being able to see the damn screen. But, like I said, if you have the perfect scenario for it, this thing's actually really cool. If you don't, like me, it's absolutely, people don't think about this, a lot of this stuff. This icon right here kind of tells me that's kind of a symbol of like the access point. So maybe the cars are the access point. That would be cool. But there goes your, I think Ms. T was saying, playing online with other people, which don't make sense. Your track would have to be identical. So you can't do that. But this is one of those things, you'll buy it, you'll play it a few times, your kids will enjoy it, and then it's like, do we really want to set up the track today? Nah. And it's kind of like Labo, where it's going to be collecting dust eventually, but it's still a cool thing. And I'd be curious to see how it all works and what price it's going to be. But it's just another way I feel Nintendo's looking to make profits the end of the half of the year instead of having new games, and because they don't have any games, I think this is ways for them to make money like Amiibo was. All this, anything that costs money. The Game & Watch in November, to me, that's a holiday item. They're hoping to make a lot of money off of these Mario Kart toys, looking to make money off of. I just feel like it's filling the gaps of no games. There are still people who think Nintendo's got a big holiday game or a medium-sized holiday game still to be announced for November or December. I'm skeptical. I hope they're right and I'm wrong, and I hope it's something really good. If it's just like an Amiibo Festival type game or a Mario Party type game, obviously that's only gonna be worse for me. I'll be making another video complaining. Maybe it's like Mario Strikers or something mid-tier, not super exciting, but a decent game comes out in November, December. That I'll be fine with that. Like a Paper Mario size game where it's not one of the big top tier franchises, but still a solid game. Hopefully that happens. So we got all this, I think, free content coming to a bunch of stuff, but then they have all this clothing. Like I said, this is it's anniversary stuff, but it's also, we don't have a lot of games coming for the holiday. We're going to sell our Switch and the games that are out. Let's sell some other stuff, make some more money. So this is another edition a lot of people have been asking for, scratching their heads why this wasn't on the Virtual Console. I don't think on the Wii. I don't think this was on the Wii, Super Mario All-Stars. I've only played like this in the store. I've never actually played the full version. I played it at a kiosk in a store back in probably Toys R Us back in the day. So, and that's actually available today. I haven't even checked that out. 2D Metroid, yeah. I mean, then you have to question if it's something like that. Where's the announcement? What are they waiting for? Why not build up some anticipation? Why not let us know? So it's like Paper Mario was 2 months in advance. So 2 months from now is November 5th. So yeah, we got a couple weeks. And if they do some kind of direct or just an announcement, yeah, we could still have a November game. But so takeaways from the 3D All-Star Collection. I'm bummed that they didn't take the opportunity to have Mario 64 and Sunshine run at 60 frames per second for the first time. because there's emulators that do it, and it's just kind of a bummer that they didn't put in the work to do that. Sunshine looks decent. I mean, it looks vastly superior to the GameCube version I was playing earlier today. But when you see Galaxy in a second, if you can't see the difference in the fluidity of the way Mario's moving and the way the camera's moving, like, I'm sorry, I guess you're one of those people that can't see 60 frames per second, but when you, it's just like, what a missed opportunity. I don't even know if I have the 60 frames per second version playing. Yeah. Like, it just looks, the camera speed, Mario's movements just look so much smoother. Like, I just don't know why they didn't, I know why they didn't, but it just sucks that they didn't take the opportunity to have us experience 64 and Sunshine at 60 frames per second for the first time. It's like, yeah, I don't know, man. That's the first little thing. It's not major, but you're going to go from Galaxy to playing Sunshine, and you just be like, you're going to feel it. Then you got this box art. This trash-ass box art. Like, I guess it's not trash, but I guess it's just the box art from, well, I don't know, is that the Mario 64 box art? I guess it's not as bad in this photo than what I saw the unboxing on Nintendo Minute. But if you see the actual cartridge art, it's a joke. It's just this color goldish with this logo. And it's just like, I just feel like they missed an opportunity to wow us with, like, I guess in its own right, you know, it's the original box arts from the 3 games. But at the same time, like, have somebody, like, take some concept art, some amazing art, and, like, this is a celebration. Like, I'd love to see this just pop with, like, oh my god, that's like the most amazing box art I've ever seen, you know? Like, it just feels like they just took it safe, did the easiest stuff possible, and you got All-Stars. So if this is truly All-Stars, where's Galaxy 2 and where's 3D World? Because you could get this game right out of here if you want to talk about All-Stars. 64, Galaxy 1 and 2, and 3D World. Now, that would have been a 3D All-Stars game. To me, that would have been an All-Stars. 3D Land in there, and then you have then you went all out. For 35th anniversary, you went all out at this point. And then it's a limited time, which, like I said earlier, I have it pre-ordered right now. If Sunshine sells, I'll probably pick it up. If not, then I'm passing on it. I don't see myself playing through any one of these games all the way through. It'd be nice to have Sunshine if they have proper controls for the camera, if they have options to switch the camera controls around. But then Galaxy, how's that going to play with a standard controller? My theory is Galaxy 2, it was the sequel, so it's not the landmark game, but I have a feeling Nintendo realizes it's the better game because that's what they released first on the Wii U, if you remember. It was Galaxy 2. I think you could see a deluxe edition of Galaxy 2. They're holding that off for, let's say next year they have a gap where they don't have any games coming out. Oh, we can still kind of play off the 35th anniversary. Let's release Super Mario Galaxy 2 Deluxe or something. So, yeah, what will Zelda's 35th anniversary look like? Because they don't usually do big anniversary celebrations. Physical edition is lazy, which helps me not wanting to buy it. The box art is the last thing I care about. Like, come on, I'm just excited to play these games. Yeah, I said it was just the first thing, or it was like a nitpick. It wasn't like a deal breaker. But you can't deny that they didn't put much into it. Like, I could probably just type in, for example, let's just type in Super Mario Sunshine fan art. And just see, I don't know if Sunshine's probably not going to have the most. Yeah, this probably should have went Galaxy or 64. That one's just kind of mimicking the cover art. But, not finding a great example of what in my mind I was thinking. It's just going to load up. But just something that's like, not just the old box art, like that just celebrates. Have, the art team for the 3D art, the 3D team, just like make some amazing artwork. Like this logo right here is amazing. Like, so you tell me that there's you wouldn't rather have versus that have something a little more that pops. I'm just saying, from somebody who's come from an art background. I had, all my years in school, I always had art classes. Did CAD, did graphic design. So I think about this stuff. A lot of people probably don't. I don't ever look at the boxes much after I play them, but you're in the mind of somebody who, not that I do it for a living or really do art much anymore, but I always look at stuff like that. That's just something. I mean, even the Luigi's Mansion 3, I complained about that box art. I felt like that was a big missed opportunity for such a great game to have such basic ass box art. Galaxy 1 with the touchscreen on handheld Joy-Cons can handle pointer controls, judging by the World of Goo port. Yeah. You say that, but at the same time, why don't we know that? Like, why didn't they tell us that? That's, you want to talk about, they show it real quick. So high resolution. 16:9 screen ratio, except for compatible with 2 Joy-Con controllers. So they show you going like this. It probably just circles around you. Is there pinpoint accuracy? Can you shoot an enemy? Why don't we know? This game comes out in 2 weeks. Why don't we know? I mean, even that right there. You tell me that's not better than just that taking the images from and then put them in this logo, that's not better than this logo? Like that to me, that right there, like, is much more appealing. Anyway. Like I said, I have, my whole life I've thought about this is how my mind works. But anyway, so the fact that you have to assume that it works like World of Goo. Okay, so it does do like a figure 8, but how? I guess it looks okay there, but can you pinpoint? Does it work well? Does it get where you have to reset it? Like if you turn too far to the right and then come back to the left, so let's see. Yeah, and I mean, for somebody that like collects games and stuff, like, it's not terrible. Like I said, it's not terrible. But that's September 18th. So let's just finish with this. January, you got Tokyo Mirage Sessions port. March, you got Pokemon Mystery Dungeon remake. Then you got Animal Crossing. Then you got Xenoblade Chronicles Remastered. Then we got Paper Mario Origami King. And they follow that up with 3D Mario Collection, which on its own right, I have no problem with. I mean, I have no issues with anybody who buys this game. Like, it's not like it just came out on Wii U and they're reselling it for $60. But then after this, you're getting Pikmin 3 Deluxe in October. And then, I mean, we don't know anything else other than Pokemon DLC. So it's just like, it's either a port or a remaster. Technically, Pokemon Mystery Dungeons is more of a remake. What is that up? Is that 5 now? We got Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Pokemon, Xenoblade, 3D All Stars, Pikmin 3. That's 5 old games versus Animal Crossing and Paper Mario. So it's 5-2. Old games to new. And let's see, they're showing all the games you can play, all the Mario games you can play on Switch at some point, right? Don't they show that somewhere? Not Galaxy 2 though. So it's just in any other year, I would be way more excited for this. But you're talking about a year where there was already more old games than new games. So I hate to say that definitely affects my opinions on the 35th anniversary for Mario. This should have been something to celebrate and to be excited about. But it's just because of this year. If this would have been last year's lineup, for me personally, this would have had more impact. Plus, the people that leaked, that also diminished the excitement. But as a whole, it feels in some ways like a celebration. In other ways, it just feels like an opportunity for them to sell us more stuff. Like less about celebrating Mario, more about making more profits. That's just kind of how I feel. But it's not terrible. I'm not really mad at anything. The 3D World port, at this point, I think I'm like T, and clocked it at this point. I'm broken about it. I just don't care anymore. It is what it is. I'd be curious to see what Bowser's Fury is. If that's like the Super Luigi U situation where it's like a very meaty expansion, using the 3D World game engine, then I'm going to be kind of upset that they expect, they hold this hostage behind a $60 paywall instead of having it a standalone for $30 like Super Luigi U was. Like, if it's that meaty, it's going to actually make me more mad that now it's being locked behind a $60 paywall, behind 3D World port. Just release it separately. I would pay $20-$30 for Bowser's Fury if it's a decent size expansion. Like, cater to the people who bought 3D World already, and then also, if you haven't, or if you want the all-in-one, here you go. Like, it feels like all they're doing is catering and putting things out for the people who didn't own a Wii U, who didn't support them last generation, who didn't buy these games, who weren't one of the 5 million people that bought 3D World. They're catering 100% to those people. Hey, you get 3D World, and here's a new awesome Bowser's content. What about the people who bought 3D World? What about the 5 million who bought 3D World, still have it, still have their Wii U's, and still can play it any time? At the very least, just sell Bowser's Fury separately. It just doesn't make any fucking sense to just completely ignore. Do they even show Galaxy 2 in this? I can't remember. Completely ignore your supporters, your longtime fans who supported you all through the Wii U. Just completely no care, no fucks were given to people like me, people like Clocked It, people like T. Like, I know people like to say, well, these Wii U games are being held hostage on a dead console. Well, yeah, now you're holding. Yeah, they didn't show Galaxy 2 in this. Fuck you. Now you're holding Bowser's Fury hostage behind a $60 paywall, and you're punishing the people who supported the Wii U, and I just don't understand that. And that's just all there is to it. Everything they're doing this year caters to, I guess, other than Animal Crossing and Paper Mario, everything as far as the ports since 2017, since Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Pokken Tournament, the 4 in 2018, the couple was last year, and the 5 things this year. What are they? That's all catering to these Nintendo or these Switch fans who didn't support you last generation, who just like to say, well, I want to play this game portably. I didn't get to play that game. Yeah, that's great. What about the people who did? What about the people who played Mario Kart 8 day one in 2014? Was it May 30th, May 31st, 2014? Put 3. I know people. Robert, I think. Well, it wasn't Robert. Somebody. Red Knight. Somebody had like 500 hours in the Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. I have 200 to 300. I can't remember. 2.5. 250 maybe 250 hours. I can't remember exactly. And then you come out with Mario Kart Deluxe, and I, like an idiot, I buy it because I couldn't see the future. I didn't think that was going to become the new norm. I bought it thinking maybe it'd sell a few million copies, and then Mario Kart 9 would come out, in a couple of 3 years after that. And instead, now we're 6 years later, 6+ years of the same tracks in Mario Kart 8, like how many times can I race the same tracks? Now I'm not getting Mario Kart 9 because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sold so well, and it just, for them, it doesn't even, I'm not even blaming them for not putting Mario Kart 9 out, because I wouldn't put Mario Kart 9 out. It's how good Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is selling. There's absolutely no reason to put Mario Kart 9 out. They would hurt each other's sales. If they would have put Mario Kart 9 out last year, it would have cut off Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sales. It would have cut, but then all the Mario Kart 8 sales would have cut into Mario Kart 9 sales. So now the only thing they have, the only decision, and I completely agree with, is wait till the next generation to release Mario Kart 9. There's no other choice. Any other choice is stupid. You hope 2020, or you feel 2021 is going to be stacked with new releases? I mean, it better be. It fucking better be. And ASAP says he agrees with Nintendo completely ignoring the hardcore supporters. Yeah, I mean, any one port I have no problem with, other than Captain Toad and Pikmin, just because, in 3D World, because it's been 7 years, and I didn't make this point. Bowser's Fury, if that's really cool, just make a whole sequel based upon that idea. Maybe it's not a full $60 sequel, but maybe it's like I said, new Super Mario Brothers, new Luigi U experience. Maybe it's a $30, $40 experience. Maybe it's half the size of 3D World, but you have your main team working on it, and it's all quality content, amazing level design, the typical, amazing music. 7 years later, now you got and I said this, and somebody tried to argue it, there's no way Nintendo's letting some second tier team work on 3D World content. A 3D Mario game, I don't care if it's a one level, there's no way that anybody other than the main 3D Mario team's working on Bowser's Fury. I don't see it any other way. I mean, Retro Studios did Funky Kong, for Christ's sakes. So 7 years later, why the hell don't we just have a 3D World sequel? You gave us Odyssey, and that's a cool game. I really enjoyed it. But if you're going to put 3D World out and Bowser's Fury out after 7 years, and it's been 3 years plus since the 3D World or 3D Mario team's been done with Odyssey, give us a new game. I don't understand it. I just don't get it. So, Pikmin 3. You could have easily hit, Pikmin 4, 2 year 3 years tops development for a fucking Pikmin game? There's no reason not to have sequels. And we've had situations where we get new games and the previous game quote unquote stuck to the previous system and maybe not even sold amazing, like Skyward Sword, for instance. So 3 million copies on the Wii? They followed that up with Breath of the Wild. They didn't follow that up with Skyward Sword HD. We did get Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD in the meantime, but you know what I mean? The next new game was the best game of all time. Yeah. And then since Clocked It's still here, I want to touch upon, since you brought up Bayonetta 3 Prime 4. I want to give my opinion because I think Clock has a different opinion. I like and I retweet and I support all the posts saying, bringing up how many days it's been since they announced Prime 4 and Bayonetta 3. It's like 1,000 days. And my point was, I have no issue with people bringing up how long it's been. I have an issue with the fact that it's been almost 3 full years since they announced Bayonetta 3, and we don't even have a trailer. We don't have a snippet of gameplay. We don't even have a developer fucking behind the scenes video. Prime 4, we all know shit happened, but still. They announced the games too early. And even the longest wait I've ever felt, and I'm sure it's not the longest. Breath of the Wild, aka Zelda U, shown off in June 2014. It hit one major delay for sure, and then it got another delay, probably just to make the Switch's launch. From June 2014 to March 3rd, 2017, that's less than 3 years. It's 3 months shy of 3 years. That was the longest wait I've ever felt for a game. I'm not, Ocarina of Time came out, 98? Was that nonsense, 96? I mean, Nintendo is not known for showing games or announcing games and then 3 years later still not even having a trailer, let alone the game being out and done. Like, they usually show the game after it's been in development for a couple years and it's within a year. Then it gets delayed. Maybe it's 2 years later. And if it's Breath of the Wild, then it's 2 years and 9 months later. But we're 3 months away from 3 years since Bayonetta 3 was shown. And I know that's a Platinum Games developed game, but still, it's just so unlike Nintendo. I mean, the Switch, everything about the Switch is just so unlike Nintendo. Unlike Nintendo to announce a game and not 3 years later have nothing to show on it. That's never been done before. That's true. Bayonetta 3 director did leave Platinum. He was the Bayonetta 2 director. He left Platinum. But that still is unlike Nintendo to have announced that game if it wasn't further along. You know what I'm saying? Because the Bayonetta 2 announcement came for the Wii U in 2013? And the game came out in October 2014. So it was under 2 years. Like, seriously, what about Farrell? That the director quit? Or something else? Yeah, I think Pikmin 4 was just, hey, Pikmin. And that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Lucius. I was going to make a video about gaming confessions because RetroDeath did. God, I'm an hour and a half, and this can be the last thing. I hate it because I get the most viewers after I've been on forever, but then I don't expect people to go back and watch an hour and 30-minute juice opinions, on the replay. But Bayonetta 2 director was the producer of Bayonetta 1. Kamiya was the director of Bayonetta 1. So the Bayonetta 2 director was working on Bayonetta 3, and then he left Platinum, just to answer that question. But the other thing that Lucius brought up is that it's also being released for a console that isn't that much stronger than the Wii U. It needed a different art style to be made for Switch Pro, or to be made for Switch Pro to not feel like Bayonetta 2.5. I couldn't agree with you more. That is exactly how I feel about this. And like I said, RetroDeath did a video like confessions or whatever, gaming confessions. My gaming confession was, I want Bayonetta 3 to come out on the next Nintendo system or go multi-plat. I don't want the Switch holding back what Bayonetta 3, in my opinion, should be. Not only is the Switch not that much more powerful than the Wii U, we know that. The portable mode of the Switch is basically a Wii U. But in docked, it's not that much more. Platinum Games released Astral Chain, 900p adaptive resolution. It hovers around 800p the whole time, or the average is 800p. 30 frames per second. So their first like new game for the Switch is a 30 frames per second game that barely runs above the Wii U's 720p. So it averages 800 30 frames per second. 800p 30 frames per second. The Bayonetta 2 port, still 720p, and went from averaging 45 frames per second to like 55. And then we get the Wonderful 101 port. They target 1080p, and the game's like fluctuates between 30 and 50. Like it rarely, there's some areas where it hits 60, but it's like a 30 to 40 frames per second during the intense scenes. Platinum's engine is a good engine. It was great on Wii U, and with Wonderful 101 and Bayonetta 2, both great looking games on that system. But for whatever reason on the Switch, their engine just can't really take advantage of any of the things the Switch has, power-wise over the Wii U. The CPU clock speed's is below the Wii U, has more RAM, has a better GPU, but clock speed-wise, it's pretty low. So I'm just like, what I've seen so far, Platinum's engine, I'm not that impressed with what they've been able to do on Switch. I don't want to see Bayonetta 3, just like Lucius said, be Bayonetta 2.5. Be basically the same, same visual style, same visual level of visuals, maybe a slightly higher resolution, maybe some improvements here or there, but I want to be wowed by Bayonetta 3, and I just honestly don't think the Switch can wow me with Bayonetta 3. Same with Prime 4. I don't think, I've said this before, and I took some shit for it on the podcast. I don't think the Switch has it in it to wow me with a 60 frames per second Metroid Prime 4. I just absolutely don't think it can wow me. Because the Switch just hasn't really shown me 60 frames per second. Mario Odyssey's the best looking example, and it's a good looking game. More so when your camera's zoomed out, when you zoom in at ground textures and stuff are absolutely really low quality, but it's a good looking game. It's a 900p game, 60 frames. It's a good looking game. It's not pushing the Switch like Metroid Prime pushed the GameCube. It's like, so either it's going to be 30 frames per second, Bayonetta and Prime, or they're going to be 60 frames, and they're not going to really wow people visually. That's just how I feel. And honestly, both those games, I would rather they just release on the successor to the Switch, whatever the next console is. So maybe it would be, Xbox One or PS4 level visuals, maybe if we're lucky. I would just rather see them, since it's taking so long. And Prime 3 impressed me, because the Wii was a fucking 480p powerhouse. People like to give it shit about it was way less, all the low RAM and stuff. The Wii was a 480p powerhouse. If the 360 and PS3 ran games at 480p, they would have blew away the Wii. But the Wii at 480 wasn't that far below the 360 and PS3, what they're trying to do at 720p, or some games try to hit 1080p. So the Switch isn't a powerhouse in any way other than as a handheld. It's still impressive as a handheld, not as impressive as it was 3.5 years ago, but it's still, it's still a really good looking handheld. As a home console, though, it's really not. It's really starting to already show its age, in my opinion. And we're seeing third-party port support dry up. We're seeing Doom Eternal take forever. It's in limbo. We've seen what they had to do. I've seen what they had to do to get Hellblade running on the Switch, and it looks absolutely atrocious in handheld mode. So I would rather just save Bayonetta 3, save Prime 4 for the next system, and hopefully it's a decent jump in power, because I said this, I think my last Juice Opinions, whatever it was, I had a theory that the Switch hardware was holding back game development, whether it's actually limiting what they want to do or it just takes them a lot longer to get to the levels they want to do. Like Luigi's Mansion 3 is a great example of a amazing looking Switch game. 1080p native, no adaptive resolution, pretty much locked 30 frames per second. Great looking game. I don't know how long it took them to get it out, but that's probably the best example of what the Switch can do. But at the same time, it's a fixed camera. It's not a full 3D environment. It's not fast-paced action like Bayonetta 3. There's not a lot of like platforming and exploration, and more of a focus on, I wouldn't say realistic visuals, but impressive visuals like a Metroid Prime game. So I'm just very curious to see, and I'd love to be wrong. I'd love there to be some a direct or whatever. You get Bayonetta 3, I'm like, holy shit, that's running on the Switch. Holy, like, wow, I was wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. Just from what we've seen so far. And the Luigi's Mansion, that's a good point, Anime Rapper. I said this last year, and I was so disappointed in Digital Foundry's short little video on it. My fan kicks on so damn much when I was playing Luigi's Mansion 3. That's the first time I noticed the fan in docked mode on my Switch over like the game audio. Like, it kicked on a lot. I feel like that game pushed the Switch beyond, like, to its absolute limit. And again, that's a fixed camera kind of situation. That's not a full 3D environment. As good as Odyssey looks, Metroid Prime's got to look better to be to the standards of Metroid Prime. It can't look like Odyssey. Obviously, the art style is different, but it's got to be above that for Metroid Prime. Let's just look up some Prime 3. I don't want to see HD stuff. Let's watch a video review from IGN. We're going to get some ads, sorry. But, I mean, the Wii did have a shit for RAM. It had like 88 megabytes or something. It was ridiculous. But still. And 480p, that's the resolution. I mean, it still looks good. But like I said in another video, you hook this up to a really high quality TV, it's not going to make a Wii game look... It might look better than like a really shitty TV, but it's also going to make the flaws stand out more. Low res textures and jagged edges are going to stand out more. Wow, Matt Casamassina and Mark Bozon reviewed this. Nice. I miss those guys. Good looking game for a Wii game, but play this on a really nice large screen TV, and you're gonna see the flaws. This video quality is terrible. This is not indicative of the actual game quality, but I mean, just you're looking at massive jaggies. Everything's gonna stand out more than it did on your CRT TV back in the day or whatever. Like a 30-inch TV, it probably looked pretty good. Just like if I do this, look how much better it looks than like that. That's what a smaller TV can do. It can actually make. And if I shrink this down even more, all of a sudden it looks sharp. All of a sudden it looks good. That's how it works when you blow up a Wii game on a 65, 75, 80-inch TV. It's not going to look good anymore. If I blew this up on my 92-inch projector screen, it's going to look like absolute crap. But anyway, the main point was a Metroid game, Metroid Prime 4 on the Switch, has to be, I don't want to say has to, but to be impressive, to wow people, has to do more than what Odyssey did on the Switch for 3D Mario games. So anyway, with the people they're hiring at Retro, I feel like Prime 4 will deliver visually in whatever console it appears on. I don't talk about graphics as much, but I feel it'll deliver. Well, that's the other thing. They're still hiring like major roles for this game, so I really don't expect to see it on the Switch, to be honest. But I mean, if you took this game, put it in HD, and add some anti-aliasing or something to clean up the jaggies, I mean, it would be a pretty good looking game. I mean, it wouldn't look terrible, that's for sure. But there's some low quality textures like the sky and stuff might stand out. But I mean, you could make this a decent looking game, do the Xenoblade Chronicles treatment, and make this a really good looking game. I mean, it's not going to look like Doom Eternal or Doom, 2016. But I'm very skeptical about just a visually wow moment coming from basically the first HD Metroid game if it comes out on the Switch. I really, and I said this before, they waited too long to wow us with HD Metroid game. Because all the other games we've seen since then, all the other HD games were I don't think we're going to have that, wow, Metroid Prime in HD wow moment. I just really don't, because honestly, if they're pushing 60 frames per second, it might not be HD. It might be 640p like Yoshi's Crafted World. It might not technically be HD if they push for 60 frames per second. So that's something to think about. I know I just keep rambling on here. But like I said, I keep getting people jumping in. And I would love to, like, the gyro controls and stuff. I mean, I think there's a possibility of it being, I mean, it would be a great game. Even though there's so many new people hiring, it's not even like the old retro anymore. So, Yoshi's Crafted World, it had moments where it looks good, no doubt. But it always looked kind of blurry to me. But, like, and you're seeing this YouTube streaming, plus I'm watching on YouTube, but what they have here, I was wowed by Wind Waker HD for sure. But Clock, you're talking 3.5 years ago. Like, the Switch wowed me when it first came out, and like I said before, I'm not wowed anymore. Like, I'm not wowed when they announce or when you see, oh, The Witcher 3 is coming to Switch. We've already had so many examples of these games coming to Switch that I don't get wowed anymore. But, like, this ain't a bad looking game. But if you take this exact game, let's say, I'm sure there's an emulator. There's a Switch emulator. And just, like, full on 1080p, like, the quality of the textures, everything's ramped up for whatever, the Switch Pro or the sequel. I think this would be a great looking game. It's just blurry. It was blurry on my TV, and it barely run. I think it was ran below 720p for the majority of the game. What's the Switch emulator? Yuzu. Curious if there's any footage. Well, we're about to find out what this game looks like. This doesn't look any better than... Well, no, it doesn't. Crafted World on the Switch doesn't look better. So this is on an emulator running at 4K. They've obviously added some kind of mod. I don't like the... I don't hate that these glow, but I don't like how much they're glowing. I'm just... Ignore the glowing coins. I'm just trying to look at some of the other aspects. And it's got like a plastic sheen to it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why people can't just play the game at a higher resolution. That's one of the things I don't like about emulators and modding, is they always got to mess shit up. Even though that is a cool effect, if that had been the intention. The game's obviously glitchy too. Wow, it's really fucking glitchy. So that's the other thing, there's someday that'll be fine. But yeah, Breath of the Wild wowed me in its world and stuff, and I took 200 screenshots. But it's not like, wow, this is so HD. It was more the art style. Like, it's hard to explain. Still a great looking game for sure. But I was wowed more by the world than just like, oh, this is Zelda in HD, because we already seen the Wind Waker in HD, and I'd argue the Wind Waker was a more wow inspiring seeing that in HD versus when you're talking just straight on quality of the image on screen. I think Wind Waker is what I would say is the HD wow Zelda game. This is a great looking game, no doubt. Don't get me wrong. But I think it's more the art style and the scale of the world than it's just raw technical. While like I always complain about the haziness, like some of it's artistic. I think others is the limitations of the Switch, trying to get the game. But this isn't like, that's not a wow, that's first time seeing Zelda in HD kind of, for me. I mean, you might be different. But this doesn't scream Zelda in HD, let's be excited. This just screams amazing art style, look at the size of the world. That's how I always kind of felt about it. So I was wowed, but not because of, not because it's Zelda in HD, you know, like that. I feel like Wind Waker was that for me. And plus, it was a launch title for the Switch. We knew it was a Wii U game. We kind of thought that we would, you know, we thought we were only seeing the beginning of what the Switch could do. And now that I feel like the Switch has been topped out already. Another video, I talked about this already. I feel like the Switch was maxed out way earlier than any other Nintendo system. Like, to me, seeing this game for the first time was a wow moment. This is not a great... The video quality sucks on this. Yeah, I played Breath of the Wild 24 hours worth, pretty far into the game at 60 frames per second, and it's just like, it looks, 60 frames per second always just looks better. It just, even if it doesn't visually, like, you could run it at the same resolution and just run it at 60, and it's just going to look, like, to my eyes, it's just going to look better. That's just how 60 frames just always looks better. So this has they added the filters and stuff to kind of brighten up the colors, but you get the idea. Just seeing it moving way smoother, like, it just makes it look, I wouldn't say more real, but it's just more natural. It just looks right. And I played my third playthrough, like I told the guys, like, I wouldn't play my first playthrough if I only played it on emulation. I wouldn't have played it with, like, filters, changing, like, taking the fog off. But my third playthrough, I thought it was an interesting way to play it because I hadn't seen the game look like this before. I still really like how this looks. It's not too far away from the original. I like the lack of haziness. To me, is a big improvement to the game. I know that's a personal opinion thing. I've always thought that the game looked better without the haze. But yeah, you would. There's no way even a Switch Pro. They're not gonna have enough juice in a Switch Pro to hit Breath of the Wild at 60 or at a higher resolution. Just would hit its target resolution and frame rate instead of fluctuating. Fernando. Hyrule Warriors looks amazing, and so does Twilight Princess HD. I don't think that. Yeah, miles apart. I mean, like I said, if it looked like this clean, this sharp, I'd be like, oh yeah, Zelda in HD. But it was never this is what Zelda looks like in HD, based on, especially the Wii U footage was the first we saw. It was running at 720p. It was just, yeah, that's a big open 3D open world with amazing art style. It was never like, oh my God, look at how HD that looks. Like, you know, part of why it looks good is because it does run at higher resolution than, you know, on the Wii. If this was on the Wii, it wouldn't look this good, obviously. You know, it has a part to play, but at the same time, this doesn't scream, wow, look at that HD-ness, you know? Not that that's a real word, but you know what I'm saying? Just trying to get my point out there. but still great looking game. Like, I love the design of the trees. We all love the flowing grass. Link looks great. You know, you got the effects on screen, but it, you know, and it's a cell shaded game. It's not trying to look photorealistic, even though this rock texture does look pretty good. But just look at this haziness. Once I noticed the haziness, I couldn't unsee it. And I hope I'm not ruining this game for somebody else. It doesn't ruin the game, but once I seen the haziness, once I started noticing it was there, I couldn't unsee it. And I don't know why it's there. I really think it's probably performance, helps with performance. But once I seen it without, I really can't go back. Like, let's go back to this video. Of course. Sorry, I'm rambling, but now I gotta go back to this. Once I saw Breath of the Wild, first I noticed the haze before I even saw an emulated version running at high resolution. I noticed the haze at some point. I forget, I said it, like here it's still on. So they actually didn't take it off for this one, for this scene. I can't unsee it. I don't know how else to say it. My mouse is messing up. God damn it, I got something. There we go. I don't know how else to say it, but anyway. They screwed with the horse controls. Twilight Princess. Yeah, they messed up the controls in Twilight Princess HD. Alright, so he must have turned it. Is this a different video? Must be a different video. Yeah, this is the one. Ray tracing. Curious. Yeah, that's a cool effect. It loses what makes Breath of the Wild. It looks a little too realistic there, but I didn't know that was that had been added. And it's personal preference. I don't love how this looks, but at the same time, if I'm going to play on my third playthrough, I don't really care about it being true to the original, because to me, this looks good. It don't look bad. I'm not a purist like some people. Depends on the artistic choices people make, colors and stuff. But I mean, this doesn't look bad. It doesn't look like an Unreal Engine version of Breath of the Wild, but you know, at the same time, it's probably a little too much change for my taste. This doesn't look much different. I don't know, I'm guessing it's still turned on. Yeah, it doesn't make much difference here if it's still on. Interesting. I was unaware of that. But anyway, rambling on. Everybody's got different opinions. 3D World's the best 3D Mario game ever made. Galaxy 2 is number 2. And then probably Galaxy 1 would be next. Metroid Prime 4 and Bayonetta 3, I'd rather have those be on the successor to the Switch. And I wouldn't be mad if Bayonetta 3 went multi-plat and it was on PS5 and Series X and PC. Wouldn't be mad. I'd love to see what Platinum can do with their awesome combat system, 60 frames per second, and really push, you know, their artistic side to a new level. Yeah, and that's gonna be it. We're almost 2 hours, so I'm pulling them as a T. Super long live stream, but this always happens where I start off with 5 viewers and then I'm about to get off and I see I got 25 viewers and I'm like, well, let's keep going. Let's see, they added touchscreen, hero mode, amiibo stuff that crossed over with Breath of the Wild, tweaked the gameplay, new dungeon. Was that Twilight Princess? Yeah, I think it was unnecessary because it highlighted for me that formula was getting kind of stale and has some of the ugliest character models in the history of video games. And in HD, it only made it look worse. They messed up the horse controls. The analog stick they didn't get that right in the conversion. And then I just didn't have that much fun playing through it again. It's just the old design, the dungeons, the slow metal boots, magnetic boots or whatever on the ceiling, just slugging around that dungeon. It needed to change. The Zelda formula needed to change. I'm glad it did. And now that it has, I could never go back. It's Breath of the Wild style Zelda or a 2D style top-down, like a new Link Between Worlds style Zelda. I can't go back to the old formula. So hopefully Breath of the Wild 2 doesn't do that, because then that'll be tested. That statement I just made will be truly tested. But anyway, I'm going to end this. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. I could wait 5 more minutes and make my first ever 2-hour fucking Juice Opinions. But I got nothing left to say, so I think I'm just going to end it. So thanks everybody for watching, and we see you next time.